Let's take a look at some of the terminology we'll be using throughout this course. Whenever I say data network, I'm talking about some sort of system, a set of protocols and a set of hardware and so on that enables a computer to network. So in other words, I'm not talking about things like beepers and cordless phones and that kind of thing that, yeah, they transmit, they have radio systems, but they aren't really computers talking to each other. Now, when I say a computer network, I'm talking about two or more computers or computer-enabled devices connected such that they can share data and resources. Now, notice I said here computers or computer-enabled devices. So a printer, for example, is not really a computer, but it has a computer in it, and it can be assigned an IP address and so forth. So it is a computer-enabled device, basically something that has a computer built into it and can talk to other computers. I've given you a couple of illustrations here that we will talk about later, what these are and how they're designed. But you see here a sort of typical business network where you've got a router, and then that router feeds to a switch, and then off of that switch hang all sorts of devices, usually mostly by wire, although Wi-Fi is becoming more and more popular. In the home network, Wi-Fi is very popular. You have maybe a wireless router here, and then here's a laptop and a printer connected wirelessly, and maybe I have a PC that's wired. So these are fairly typical. Now, there are many other kinds of networks besides computer networks. POTS stands for plain old telephone system. So the telephone network was an early network that is still around and does not consist of computers talking to each other, although more and more some do across that system. But it is a completely different and separate network from computers and from the computer network. The cell phone system is a network, but it is a cellular network. So that's why you have to have a separate device for your phone than you do for your computer. And again, there is some crossover. We'll talk about that in a minute. But it is a completely separate and different network. The electric grid is a network. It's not a computer network, but it is a network of connected wires, connected systems. The U.S. mail system or worldwide mail system is a type of network. Radios produce a network all of their own. Broadcast TV produces a network all its own. So these are many different kinds of networks, and computer networks are just another kind of network like these others. Now, as I said, these things can overlap and intertwine with each other. That's called convergence. So, for example, I can get on my cell phone and I can make calls on the cellular system, but I can also tap into the internet through that cell system. Now, it uses data on my data plan, or I can have my cell phone talk to my Wi-Fi network and not use my data plan. So you can see in one case it's on the cell network, and the other case it's on my computer network. So that one phone can do double duty there and operate on one network or the other. And when it's operating on the cell system, it can still get the internet. That's because the cell system has built into it gateways to the internet. So these things are converging systems. In a very similar way, you now know that a smart TV can get out on the internet. So even though the TV system was originally not an internet or a computer network, it can now access it. And so we have more and more things like radio and TV using the internet rather than the old systems. Next, we're going to take a look at some of the milestones in networking. And for this, I'm going to cut it off here and do this in a separate video. So I look forward to coming back and looking at these 4 big milestones in networking, or I should say in computer networking, as it has developed over the last several years.